Yeah.
Walk us through, this is personal, but how you're down,
So look,
don't want to look at the mountain, fallen. How do you do, what should you do each day? What did you do each day?
I sort of teach this to students.
This is very Ben Franklin, you know.
Yeah, so basically, when you're going through a very high pressure situation, so the fund was down 30-something%. The press, loves you on the way up and loves you even more to write about you on the way down. So there was a lot of very negative press. There was some litigation in connection with that Valiant investment, and I was in the middle of a divorce. So it was bad. About as bad as it gets, but I didn't have a health issue. So one, it's important to keep perspective. But the way you manage through that kind of stressful situation, all of us are going to have a moment like this. Unfortunately, it's going to be, a health issue. It's going to be you're fired from your job, your startup fails. You will, and it's even harder when you've fallen from a high place to a low place. So my method was just, I'm going to make a little progress every day. Compounding is the solution to the vast majority of progress in the world, and personal compounding is even more powerful because you make 0.1% progress every day. It doesn't sound like a lot, but annualized, it's a huge amount. And so what I said to myself going through this period is, each day I'm going to make progress. I'm not going to look back to where I was, because if I look there, I'm going to get discouraged. I'm just going to focus on the next step, and then the next step, and the next step. And you don't notice any meaningful change for the first few weeks, but about 90 days in, you're like, okay, I'm here, here's where I was. Now, I used to be up there, but I'm just going to keep compounding. And the curves of compounding, which I'm sure you know well, start like this. They don't.
1,000%. I could not agree with him more. And I love that he started to break it down from a personal standpoint that we can all relate to. I think a lot of times, man, when you hear from people who are super successful, whether or not they're billionaires, decamillionaires, whatever it is, it can feel at times that they're a bit removed from what people like you and I go through on a day-to-day basis. But no, the lessons are, you can use them in many different arenas. Just because you're playing at the $50,000 range or $100,000 range or whatever it is so important about what he's saying. I remember when I lost everything. I lost everything. When I say everything, I'm talking about cars repossessed, evicted from my home, fired from both jobs, on the verge of divorce, like Bill was mentioning in this video. And the only thing that I could turn to was that daily actions, the things that I could do on a day-to-day basis to put me at least in the right mind frame so I can hang in there long enough to start to see some of the results. A lot of times, guys, when we're in tough positions, it can feel like the end of the world. And it does hurt. I'm not going to lie. It does. But it's not the end of the world. He said something that's very, very key. He still had his health. So with the health and the theme of what we're going to be talking about moving forward for the rest of 2025 and going into 2026 is, as long as you got your health and as long as you have breath in your body, you have an opportunity to get out of whatever situation that you're in. Let's play a little bit more, but I love what he said right there. So I had to pause it and highlight that. Let's get back to it.
Look like much, and then they look like COVID, and they sort of eventually kind of take off. And the other key success factor going through a challenging period of time is just to be really healthy. So, I decided a while ago to go zero sugar. I highly recommend zero sugar. It's good for everything from mental acuity to the way you look, to physical, just everything about it is a positive. Exercise, nutrition, sleep, kind of the basics, and then surrounding yourself with people you love and love you. And if you do that,
boom. So I'm gonna pause it right there. Listen to what he just said. Now, this is coming from a billionaire now. He's saying that when he was at his rock bottom, and obviously, I'm pretty sure there's going to be people, if in this comment section of the Forbes video, and even in my comment section, perhaps, that's saying about, oh, okay, well, rich people rock bottom is different from my rock bottom. Everything is all relative, guys. What I want you to learn how to do is you have to learn how to remove your own personal feelings away from the message that is being delivered. I have mentors who are super successful. And it doesn't matter how they say it to me and whether or not they've been successful for decades or for years or for whatever it is, right? My job is to deduce the message from what they're trying to relate to me. I'm going to say that again. Your job is to deduce the message and take away the actual actionable steps that you can implement in your own life. What did he just say? Healthy, right? No sugar. That's something that I actually am working on as well. And I'm gonna put that on the to-do list for 2026. But getting more healthy, even if it's starting to eat one better meal, right? He says surround yourself around people who love you. I like to say surround yourself around people who have your best interests at heart. Because blood doesn't necessarily make you family. I have people who I'm friends with and some of my colleagues who want to see me be more successful than some of my family members that I can just be candid with you guys. So those are small things that we can do. And he didn't mention anything about money. Let me play some more of this.
I think you can work yourself through almost any problem. And I met my wife, now wife, at the absolute bottom, almost to the day. I had my first date with her, and that was I think love saves us all. It's very true.
This gets to, I know we're running out of time, but describe your Brad Pitt moment with your...
sounds like you've done some due diligence. So I described like my deepest, darkest moment was, the fund's down 35%, investors are redeeming, we've got a court case that's going poorly, I'm joined and severally personally liable with Valiant Pharmaceuticals, a company going bankrupt on the shareholder litigation. And there's not a lot of good going on. But then I meet this woman, Neri Ackman, and she's just gorgeous and brilliant and like the most loving, warm person in the world. And it's like she's my savior, and things start. And I'm also working through the divorce and all this mess. And I finally get through, I'm starting to make some progress, and I completely fall in love with her. But she's at MIT, and I'm in New York, a little long-distance relationship. And then one day she calls me, she says, "Oh, Bill, guess who's coming to visit me at my lab?" I'm like, "I don't know. Who's coming?" "Brad Pitt." I'm like, "That's great, sweetheart." I didn't know Brad Pitt was interested in architecture. He said, "No, he's really interested in architecture and design." I said, "That's fantastic." We would text WhatsApp like all the time. Brad showed up at the lab at 10 a.m., and then I kind of, WhatsApped her probably at around 11, no response. Sent her another note around 12, no response. 2, no response. And it was probably, for the period of time from the beginning of our relationship to that moment, it was the biggest gap in unresponded, not just the texts were unresponded to. You know how the checks go blue when she reads it? They didn't even go blue. And so now it's 9 o'clock, nothing. 10 o'clock, she calls me back. And of course, they had a great day at the lab, and then went out for dinner. And so, again, this is like a pretty dark period for me. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to lose the litigation. The fund is going to get liquidated. A judge is going to find me guilty of some kind of crime, and Brad Pitt's going to steal my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So, it's like this. That was the bottom, okay? Oh, and yes, and Elliott Associates had built a stake in my public vehicle, which we didn't yet control, because I hadn't yet borrowed that money from JP Morgan, and another activist was going to put me out of business. It was like, if you make the list of horribles of a terrible way to go out, I mean, Forbes would have had an incredible field day with the story.
All right, man. So I think that we had a few key takeaways from the video. I think Bill Ackman is a phenomenal businessman, obviously. I love the way he storytells and the way that he able to relate what his personal rock bottom was to him, right? So I want you to kind of think about, as you have some takeaways from this video, how can you start to personally compound wins on a day-to-day basis towards whatever goal you have. On this channel moving forward, we're going to be very heavy on action base. So the action item for this video is I want you to start with small wins, man. And if you're at your personal rock bottom, I'd love to hear about it in the comment section. Don't worry, like we're building a community to where you can be your full, authentic self, and no judgment here. Trust me. Like I said, I'm going to start to share more and more about my background and my upbringing and just kind of like what I've been through in the last 2 years. This has truly been a transformational period through my life. So I'm just looking to give back to you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a good night. Peace.